You know how it is, another month, another drama. This would mark my fourth video on Glitch by now. And this time it's not a response to Vanity Moth. How wonderful, great. So there's not really a need for an intro that much, so let's just get right into it. So, if you've been following the recent news around Glitch lately, you'd know that they've been getting some criticism based around their brand new pilot called Gameoverse. Now, this was announced all the way back in 2013, I believe, when they first started, and now 2026 it finally has its full animated pilot, and a lot of people love it, but the large majority of people are pointing out some questionable things with this here product. Some of which I actually kind of agree with, some which I can see but don't really think it's that bad, and some of which are just plain stupid. But you may be thinking, Slasher, what the hell is Gameoverse? Well, let me break it down for you. Gameoverse is a world set in video games, like all kinds of video games, kids video games, action games, like basically video games we play today, kind of like a Wreck-It Ralph kind of thing. They have their own like lives inside of the games, and the main plot follows this one video game character called Kit, who is like a cat version of Mega Man, and I'm seeing a little bit of Samus here with that suit up scene, so yeah, I think that's kind of the inspiration for her. But basically, in her game world, she ends up defeating her villain, and then her whole world gets destroyed because that like signifies a game over for the video game. And I thought that's like a really clever way to represent the game, like just ending like that. And Kit sets off with this vampire guy. Yeah, not much is explained on him, but he sets off with him anyway to go to other video game universes to stop them from basically stop the main character of that video game world from beating the game and beating the villain. Overall, I think it's a very interesting concept for a TV show based around video game worlds. I've seen the pilot myself. Some parts I liked, some parts I didn't really like that much. Which goes into the topic of this video, the main complaints with this whole pilot. So let's get into that really quick, and I'll tell you my thoughts on whether I agree with them or not.
Now I see something red.
First complaint is voice acting. The voice acting of all the characters in the show, people said were it wasn't the best. The voice acting here did seem a little wooden and bland in some areas, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's the worst voice acting I've ever heard, because trust me, I've heard some terrible voice acting. I think the only highlights in like pretty damn good voice acting in this show would probably be Schlatt as Caboodle, I think his name is, in this show. Is this little robot guy, and my god, every scene that he's in, he just made me laugh.
So, we just have to keep the hero from beating the bad guy, right?
Dang, what can't you learn? Whoa.
I can already tell Caboodle's gonna be like the Jax of this show. Well, not to the extent of what Jax does in The Amazing Digital Circus, obviously, but he's gonna have that iconic arsehole kind of voice, like, vibe going on with him. Yeah, I bet Schlatt or anything, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he does have this, like, natural arsehole voice with him, and he channels it so well into this character. And as for the other characters' voice acting, a lot of them did a pretty decent performance, but one of my least favourite voice acting performances has to be the voice actress of Kit herself. Once again, I have nothing against the voice actress of this character, it's just that she just didn't really sound the best in this show. If it ends up getting greenlit for a full season, I have no doubt that she'll buckle down and improve on the way, but it's just in the pilot, she just didn't really sound the best. It wasn't really doing it for me. She sounds fine once she's, like, normally talking, but, like, any, like, emotional scenes, it just doesn't really hit right.
They're after us, Gobbles. If they find Caboodle first, I can't let that happen. I have to find him.
Right, of course. But the planet will explode if we don't...
I'm not losing him too, Gobbles.
Yeah, like in that scene, she doesn't sound like desperate or anything. She just sounds like mildly irritated. He's like, I'm not losing him too, Gobbles. And I don't know, maybe it's the animation as well. Maybe the animation just doesn't quite match the voice acting. There's a lot of animation studios make this same mistake. Like, they'll have the character that they're animating go very animated, but the voice acting just sounds very low and just doesn't quite match the energy of what the character is, like, being animated like. I feel that's a pretty big reason as to why I think her voice acting when it comes to, like, emotional scenes isn't really the best. And here's another scene towards the end of the actual pilot.
This is all my fault. I can't believe another world is going to die because of me.
It's not over yet, Kit.
Gobbles, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you.
Kit, it's okay.
I was just so caught up in...
Kit, listen!
Again, it just sounded like she was mildly upset instead of, like, having this, like, existential crisis, like, oh my god, I've messed up again, oh no. But it just doesn't sound like that. If anything, it sounds more like she just failed an exam. She's like, oh no, I can't believe it, I failed this exam, I'm gonna flunk out of college now, oh damn it. That's what it sounds like to me anyway. I don't know, maybe it sounds good to someone else, but to me it just doesn't really sound the best. I feel like she could have done a lot better, and the voice acting could have took a little bit more practice with it. I'm not trying to claim to be this, like, voice acting expert, alright? I couldn't voice act to save my life, but I feel like they could have done more to really sell the fact that she's really upset by this. Like, if this is a PTSD-driven breakdown, right? So, really what you want to be doing is adding a little bit more, maybe hyperventilating, like she's, like, really, like, scared that that this world she's in is gonna be destroyed. It should sound something like this. Oh no, this is all my fault. I can't believe another world is gonna die because of me. Sorry about the impromptu voice acting demo there, but I needed to just, say my piece and say, you know what, it could have been done better. Here's an example of how I think this would have been done better. But that's just my thoughts on her voice acting. It may sound good to you, but to me it could have just used a little bit of improvement. Now that's the voice acting section over and done with. Now another complaint that people made towards this pilot is the animation was bad. This is going to be a bit of a shorter section because I just need to say this about the animation. Some parts could have definitely used a bit more time in the oven.
Tags are here.
They're after us, Gobbles. If they find Caboodle first, I can't let that happen. I have to find him. I'm so glad I had this scene on standby, because that is a perfect example of one of the scenes that have a little bit of dodgy animation. Just slowing down the clip here, you can see that her mouth just seems to, like, snap between mouth movements instead of being, like, all smooth like. It is a small thing, but it is very jarring where there's been, like, smooth animation there, and then it transitions to this animation where it's just a bit, a little bit janky. But this is a very small part. This is not as bad as the next scene that I'm gonna show you.
Is he, your ex-nemesis or something?
Let's just say, everywhere Snappers the Sea Scourge goes,
That's me.
Noted.
Flappers is always in his bloody way!
Now, it is a lot more noticeable with the shark fella here, Before it was just the mouth movements with Kit, but with the shark it's literally his whole body, just like very janky. And those are only like 2 scenes that I came across so far where the animation does kind of lack in those places. But the rest of the pilot, mwah, absolutely beautifully animated. So overall, just like the voice acting, I think the controversy on the animation is just a little bit overblown. And now we're gonna move on to the second to last thing, the quote-unquote fan service in this pilot. Now, in case you don't know what fan service is, basically in a popular piece of media, whether that be movie or TV show or video game, there's always going to be like certain moments where they do like callbacks to other installments in the media, for example. Like, have you ever seen a sequel to a really old movie, like 1980s, 90s or something like that, and then they just spend the entire movie making references to the first movie? Yeah, that's kind of like what fan service is in some areas. But a lot of the time, fan service is also used for something else. Like, for example, you ever watched an anime that you really like, episodes going normally, and then suddenly, boom, naked girl, boom, girl in a very revealing outfit. Yeah, that's basically fan service in a lot of areas concerning anime and things like that. And in a lot of cases, it's frowned upon if it's just filler and takes away from the actual story of the episode. And this is what people are mad about in Gameoverse. They're saying that it's just packed with fan service and has no story whatsoever. And what is this quote-unquote fan service, you may be asking? Well, people are mad that the 2 female characters, Kit and this other character, one of the villains, called Misinformation, wears bikinis in a game that's beach-themed. Yeah, this is what people are complaining about. Now, the fan service, I can understand why people think there'd be fan service, because a couple of the scenes in this pilot are a little bit sus, I will say that, but having female characters that are attractive and are wearing a bikini at a beach, mind you, isn't fan service in itself. Now, I'd understand the complaints if we got, like, constant booty shots and cleavage shots, then, at least then, it would have a little bit more leverage. By that point, it's just softcore porn, and people would just have every right to be mad at that. Now, I could get into the other controversies, like considering, apparent racism with one of the voice actors, with 1 or 2 of the voice actors, but I think that deserves a video in itself. And if you'd like me to make a video like that, please do let me know in the comments. Now, with that being said, that's where I'm gonna end this video off for today. If you happen to enjoy, please be sure to show your appreciation by leaving a like, a comment, and, if you're feeling it, a subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to go check out my other videos. I make content based around topics I like video games, indie animation, and movies. And please be sure to check out my latest video on The Last of Us, which did not do as well as I thought it was gonna be. I'm quite sad about that. But hey, if you want to go show it some support to make me happy, then go right ahead. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. So, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.